It's 6:17 m.m. The house is quiet, coffee, phone, one glance. Silver is down hard. Not a gentle dip, a slap. The kind of move that tightens your chest because it doesn't feel like the market. It feels like a message, a warning flare. Imagine this. You're on a beach watching the tide. It's calm. Then the water pulls back fast, like someone yanked the ocean by a rope. People step forward. They think it's a gift. It's not. It's the last quiet moment before the wall of water hits. That's what a sudden silver smash is. The ocean pulling back. You don't see the wave yet. You only see the unnatural move. And today's breakdown? It wasn't random. It wasn't profit-taking. It wasn't a stronger dollar. It wasn't rates. That's the bedtime story they read to the sleeping herd, so nobody asks the wrong question. Because the truth is uglier. Silver is not just a metal. It's a gauge, a pressure valve, a smoke alarm. When the system gets too hot, they cover the alarm. So you don't hear it, so you don't run. They don't want panic. They want compliance. They want you believing your retirement is safe inside a screen. Numbers in a brokerage account, digits in a bank, a pension promise, and promises are fragile. You've lived long enough to know this. When things get tight, the rules change. Not later. Fast. Overnight. And here's the lie most people still believe. They think price is truth. No. Price is permission. Price is what the casino allows you to see, while the real game happens in the back room. So listen closely. When silver gets hammered like this, smart money doesn't argue. Smart money watches. They look for signals. 5 of them. 5 fingerprints that show you who's moving the pieces. Not opinions, not rumors, signals. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. Because this isn't about making a trade. This is about making sure your life savings don't get trapped on the Titanic, while the lifeboats are being sold off quietly to the people who already know what's coming. Now let's talk about the machine behind the curtain. The modern financial system runs on one simple trick. More claims than real stuff. More paper than metal. More IOUs than inventory. More promises than delivery. Think of it like an airline. They sell 200 tickets for 140 seats because most people won't show up. It works until everybody shows up. Now imagine that airline is the silver market. You and I, we want seats. Real seats. Metal you can hold. But they sell tickets. Paper tickets. A receipt that says, trust us. So when stress hits the system, the first thing they defend is the illusion. They hammer the price. They create fear. They shake out regular people. Why? Because demand is dangerous. Demand exposes shortages. Shortages expose lies. Here's the part most retirees miss. Silver is not priced like a normal product. If a storm wipes out orange crops, orange prices rise, because fewer oranges exist. But silver can be supplied on paper. That's the trick. So the screen price can fall even as real-world demand tightens, even as premiums rise, even as inventory disappears. And that disconnect is the first signal. You've seen it. The screen says down. The dealer says, sorry, it costs more today. That's not normal. That's a pressure leak. A price on a screen is not a product in your hand. One is a story. One is reality. Now the second thing you need to understand is debt. Debt is gravity. Governments don't pay off debt anymore. They roll it. They refinance it. They stretch it out. And when the bill gets too big, there are only 3 doors. Raise taxes. Cut spending. Print. You already know which door they prefer. Printing is the painless theft. They don't take money from your wallet. They take purchasing power from your future. Your groceries, your medicine, your heating bill. Imagine this. You're 68, fixed income. Same check, same day every month. But month by month, the grocery cart gets more expensive. The pharmacy receipt grows teeth. The utility bill creeps up like a rising flood. You start choosing, not wants, needs, and no one on TV walks into that aisle to apologize. People say, but I'm insured. FDIC. Government guarantees. Government guarantees. Listen carefully. Insurance only works if the insurer can pay everyone at once. And if the payout is printed, the number may arrive, but the value won't. Imagine this. Your bank says, yes, your money is safe. Here is your balance. Relief. Then a year later, the same balance buys far less. Your life shrinks. Because your time is stored inside that money. That's what retirement savings are. Stored time. And inflation burns time. Slow. Relentless. Like termites. Now here's the line most people don't want to hear. The system can't be fixed without hurting someone. So they choose the option that hurts quietly and spreads the pain, instead of the option that causes an immediate riot. That's why smart money watches what happens during sell-offs. Because sell-offs are cover for repositioning, cover for moving out of counterparty risk, cover for quietly acquiring what lasts. And here's the phrase you need in your bones. This isn't a theory, this is math. Now the second signal smart money watches in a silver smash. Stress in banking and credit. You don't need a headline screaming crisis. You watch behavior. Credit tightens first. Lending standards change. Small businesses get told, not right now. Regional banks start getting rescued. Quietly. They always say it's contained. Contained is what they said about the Titanic. Just a scratch. Just a few compartments. Then the bow dipped. Then the lights flickered. Then the music stopped. When credit gets tight, paper assets get fragile, and physical silver starts looking like a lifeboat. But here's the twist. When the system is stressed, they don't want lifeboats leaving the ship. They want you staying put. So they push the price down to make you feel stupid for wanting metal. They ridicule it. They call it a relic. They say it's volatile. Meanwhile, the people who can read the room do the opposite, because they know what you're not supposed to say out loud. When confidence breaks, the rules change. That's the third signal. Rules and regulations quietly shift. Most people think the rules are permanent. They're not. They're policies. They're memos. They're emergency measures. And emergencies are the excuse for everything. Imagine this. You wake up and your bank app looks normal. Balance is there. Retirement account shows your number. Then you try to move a chunk of your money out, and a message pops up. Transfers temporarily limited for your protection. For your protection. That phrase is a cage. Because when the cage closes, you can still see outside, but you can't leave. So smart money watches rule changes like a hawk. Limits, reporting thresholds, new security checks, new verification steps, new waiting periods, all convenient, all timed, all aimed at slowing exits. Because if everyone tries to leave at once, the system can't handle it. So the system adds friction, paperwork, delays, reviews. Now the fourth signal, central bank behavior and liquidity. Central banks don't talk like normal people, they speak in fog. But their actions are loud. When they pump liquidity, they're admitting stress. When they backstop markets, they're admitting fragility. When they flip their tone overnight, it's because something cracked. They'll tell you it's to ensure stability. Stability is code for, we can't let this unwind. Because if it unwinds, the paper promises get called. And paper promises can't all be honored at once. This isn't a theory. This is math. If a bank has $100 in real cash, but $1,000 in claims, it survives only because most people don't demand cash at the same time. Now zoom out. Same game. Bigger stage. And that leads to the fifth signal, inventory and delivery pressure. In any real market, delivery matters. If you buy wheat, you can receive wheat. If you buy oil, you can take oil. But in precious metals, the game has become layered. Claims on claims, contracts on contracts. And when more people want the real thing, the system shows cracks. That's when you see it. Sudden drops, violent smashes, stops triggered, retail panic. It's not random. It's choreography. Because if too many people demand the real thing at the same time, the mismatch becomes visible. And visibility is dangerous for them. They can survive anger. They can't survive awakening. Now we go to the part they don't want you visualizing. Because once you can see the future, you stop obeying the present. Here's the trap. The trap is convenience. They train the public to love digital everything. Tap your phone, scan your face, swipe your card. No cash, no friction, no privacy. And that convenience becomes a leash. Because in a fully digital system, your money becomes permissioned, not owned, permissioned. Meaning you can only use it the way the system allows. And if you think that's dramatic, just remember, we already live in a world where accounts get frozen, payments get blocked, transfers get delayed, and it's always temporary, always for your safety. Now imagine this, a new digital currency rolls out. They call it modern, secure. They offer incentives, a bonus, a credit, and the sleeping herd applauds. But buried in the fine print is the feature that turns it into a trap, programmability. That means your money can be told what it can and can't buy, where it can and can't go. It can expire, it can be throttled. And if you think they wouldn't do that, ask yourself if they could stop a bank run with a button, would they? If they could force money to be spent to stimulate the economy, would they? Of course they would, because control is the drug. Now bring it down to your real life. You're 55 plus, you want stability, dignity, peace. Imagine this. You pull up to a gas station. Your card declines, not because you're broke, because your monthly fuel allotment has been adjusted. You go to the pharmacy. Your payment is pending. You try to withdraw cash. The ATM limit is reduced. You try to transfer money to your child. It's flagged. You try to buy metal. There's a temporary restriction on commodity purchases. All temporary, all for your safety. And now you understand the trap. When everything is inside the system owns the exits. They can trap you with a policy, a button, a rule. And here's the cruelest part. They don't need to take your money. They only need to trap it, while prices rise. Because trapped money in an inflation storm is like being handcuffed in a burning building. Your number may stay the same, but your life shrinks. So what does smart money do? They don't argue with the storm. They build shelter. They add something that doesn't need permission. Physical metal, not a ticker, not an ETF, not a promise, something you can hold, something that doesn't require a login or approval. This is not about getting rich, this is about not getting wiped out. Because here's what retirees need more than anything: certainty. You worked decades, you planned, you stayed disciplined, and now you're watching the world act like math doesn't matter, but it does. And when the music stops, there are two types of people: those holding promises, and those holding assets. Physical silver and gold are not investments the way Wall Street uses the word. They are survival tools, freedom tools, bearer assets, meaning the value is attached to the thing itself, not to someone else's ability to pay. Now we come back to the concept that separates the awake from the herd: counterparty risk. If your wealth is in a bank, your counterparty is the bank. If your wealth is in a brokerage, your counterparty is a chain of institutions. If your wealth is in a pension, your counterparty is the entire system that must stay solvent. If your wealth is in paper metal, your counterparty is a structure of promises, a chain that can break. And when it breaks, you don't get a warning, you get a headline, and by then the exits are crowded. Imagine this: markets open and drop hard. You say, "I'll move to cash," but cash is trapped in the same system. You say, "I'll wire it out." Wires are delayed, platforms are reviewing. That's when people learn the difference between owning something and being allowed to access something. Metal changes that, because if it's in your possession, your counterparty risk drops to near zero. No one has to approve your ownership. No one has to deliver later. No one has to honor a claim. It's yours. Now think about what that means in a crisis. Banks limit withdrawals, pensions get adjusted, benefits get reviewed. But you have metal, not all your wealth, not your entire world, but enough to matter, enough to breathe, enough to make choices. Metal buys optionality, and optionality is freedom, because freedom is the ability to say no. No to bad deals, no to desperation, no to being trapped. Now why silver specifically? Because silver is the workhorse, gold is the king, silver is the soldier, silver is smaller unit money, more flexible, more practical in a pinch, and silver has a habit: it sleeps, then it moves fast. When the pressure releases, silver doesn't walk, it runs. That's why the system fears a silver rush, because silver is the metal ordinary people can still reach. Gold is a vault, silver is a crowd, and crowds create delivery requests. Delivery requests expose paper games, so yes, they smash it. They run the stops, they try to make you doubt yourself. But here's the part nobody can cheat forever: reality. At some point, real demand meets real supply. At some point, confidence breaks. At some point, paper claims get questioned. And when that day comes, you won't want to be learning this for the first time. You'll want to already be positioned, calm, ready, like the person who put lifeboats on deck before the iceberg hit. Most people are not prepared for even a mild disruption. They're comfortable, they're trusting, they think they'll fix it. That's the sleeping herd, and they count on it. Because the system survives on faith. Faith that your bank will open tomorrow. Faith that your dollars will buy the same basket next year. Faith that rules won't change. Faith, not guarantees. So here's a simple gut check. When silver gets smashed, ask, is physical getting harder to find? Are premiums rising while the screen falls? Is credit tightening? Are officials talking about stability and tools and emergency support? Are new rules making money harder to move? If you see multiple yes answers, don't argue with the storm. Prepare. This isn't a theory, this is math. Take a simple example. Say you retired with $500,000. Just an example. If prices rise 7% a year, your purchasing power compounds down. After 1 year, it's like $465,000 in real terms. After 5 years, it's closer to $356,000. Same account, same screen, smaller life. That's why retirees feel it first. You can't work overtime at 70 to beat inflation. So you need something that doesn't depend on the system telling the truth. You need something outside the spreadsheet. That's where metal fits. Not as a lottery ticket. As a lifeboat. Stop thinking of silver and gold like a hot tip. Start thinking of it like a fire extinguisher. You don't buy an extinguisher because you hope the kitchen catches fire. You buy it because if the fire happens, you want options. Physical metal is options. Being your own central bank means this: you hold a reserve that answers to you. No password reset, no system outage, no approval. Just wait. Ask yourself one question. If the bank's shut for a week, what do you actually have? A screen or a lifeboat you can hold in your hand? And yes, the screen price can drop, but you don't hold physical metal to win a daily price contest. You hold it to reduce counterparty risk, to own something outright, to have a piece of your stored time that can't be frozen with a keystroke. We're not the sleeping herd. We read the signals, we prepare early, we stay awake. So subscribe to AG Reporter if you want to survive what's coming. Because the next temporary rule, the next unexpected crisis, the next market event, might be the moment the exits get narrow. And I'll leave you with this. In every disaster, there's a moment when the crowd realizes the truth, not when the danger begins, when it's too late to leave. Don't be the crowd, be early. Be ready, be the person who already has the lifeboat.